Hey guys, welcome to Riding Shotgun. I'm your host, Dr. Lorie Lofquist. This podcast is going to take you for a ride in the passenger seat. So climb aboard so that you can get armed with everything that you need to know in order to make health and wellness decisions that are important for your life and your family's life. So sit back, relax, and let's roll. Many patients, when they come into my office, want to ask me the question, are x-rays required before I can receive chiropractic care? This is a legit question. They want to know what is going to be required before they can actually feel better. And it varies from chiropractic office to chiropractic office. So, and basically that's the short answer. It depends on the doctor. At CWC, our doctors are experts in the art of palpation and examination. So typically we do not believe that x-rays should be taken to educate the patient. If during our exam and our history, we're noticing some red flags and things are becoming obvious that it may not be safe to adjust this patient at this time, then we will typically send out to order x-rays. But for the general rule of thumb at Chiropractic Wellness Center, x-rays are generally not required. Basically, you have to look at what imaging looks at inside the body. There's different types of imaging that we can do, and each of them have their own pros and cons depending on what I'm trying to look at. So if I take an x-ray, I'm trying to take a pic inside the body. I'm trying to figure out exactly what is going on. An x-ray itself, it's great to show like bones. It can show some tumors. It can show some infections. And generally, they're pretty cost effective if I need to take an x-ray. Stepping up from that, I can take a CT scan. A lot of people call these CAT scans. You know, this is basically a super x-ray, if you will. It's a movable x-ray, and it takes a picture just like an x-ray would. Some of the pros to the CT scan is it has more detail than a regular x-ray. It shows more soft tissue detail than a standard x-ray, but it does inject a lot more radiation, and it's not as cost effective as an x-ray is. Moving on to a different type of imaging, you have an MRI. An MRI uses magnets. So with an MRI, you don't have any radiation exposure to the body. It's best for soft tissue, and people with implants and surgical devices have to be careful because it does use a huge magnet to take the picture. So whenever you get an MRI, if you have any of these surgical things that have been implanted in you, you need to make sure that it's not able to react with a magnet because it will rip it straight out of the body, to be quite frank. But anyway, back to the question at hand. Do you need an x-ray before you have chiropractic care? Not if your doctor is going to do a thorough exam. I mean, they're going to look at the history. How did you hurt yourself? When did you hurt yourself? How long has this been going on? They're going to ask you questions that are going to lead them to the path to determine whether or not there are red flags that would require you to get an x-ray or not. Typically, in cases of a motor vehicle accident or some sort of trauma, fall off of a ladder, we had one of those the other day, your probability of getting an x-ray after some sort of trauma like that definitely increases. If you have any history of osteoporosis or osteopenia, that definitely is a red flag that we may need an x-ray or possibly might need an x-ray. Pain that's unexplained or unexplained fever or unexplained weight loss definitely could warrant taking some sort of imaging. If you've had a long history of taking certain meds, or if you have a history or signs of taking some social drugs, is the best way to put it, something that would leave needle marks and things like that. I mean, those things can definitely warrant us needing to take an x-ray. Any history of cancer can warrant the need to take an x-ray whenever it comes along with pain. One of the big questions that I typically ask myself after I take a thorough history and I do a thorough examination of the patient is I would say, okay, now I didn't find any major red flags. I didn't find any abnormal findings other than the typical. Would having an x-ray or some sort of imaging change the type of care that I would provide for this patient? If the answer to that question is no, then there's no reason for me to shoot an x-ray. I would begin with conservative care. We would run that trial of care for 4 to 6 weeks. During that time, we will set progress goals that we expect to meet out of our treatment plan. And if those goals haven't been met whenever we go to do a re-exam at 4 to 6 weeks, then it might be time to order additional testing. It's very rare that additional testing is going to be required. Most people who come in for neck or back pain, their issues have resolved with chiropractic care under that conservative treatment plan, and no radiation needed to be injected into the patient. So it's very, very rare that my office would send you out for an X-ray, CT scan, MRI, unless you had some reason that that would be required. Imaging in itself, a lot of people think, oh, it's just an X-ray, it's harmless, it's no big deal, don't worry about it. And it's not harmless. It is easy, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't take much of your time. Granted, I get that. An X-ray itself is not super expensive. However, taking needless X-rays of a low back or a pelvic region exposes all the sexual organs to increased radiation that doesn't necessarily need to be there. So, and again, it's up to the doctor, but at Chiropractic Wellness Center, we want to make sure that we are doing what's best and safest for the patient, in our opinion. This is how we do it. MRIs in themselves, they don't expose the patient to any radiation. However, they are very expensive. But also, doing an MRI for exploratory reasons can locate anomalies inside the body. And these anomalies may not even be the root cause of a problem. However, because you find it, now you're going to explore it, see what's going on with it. And oftentimes that can lead to possible unneeded procedures on the patient, possible surgeries or possible extra injections, and it wouldn't be the root cause of the problem. So the long and the short of it is imaging required for chiropractic care? It depends on who you go and see. It doesn't have to be required. It shouldn't be done for an education purpose. So if you feel like your doctor is taking an X-ray just to prove to you why you have to keep coming to see them, that's an issue. If they're taking a X-ray to show you how things are changing, that's another situation altogether. I mean, you are seeing some progress with that. However, I feel like you should be seeing the progress anyway. You should start seeing different changes in your posture. You should have less aches and pains. You should have less allergies, less headaches, whatever the goals were of the treatment plan in the first place without the added radiation and the added expense, even though X-ray is pretty cheap. So that is our take on X-rays, and are they needed or are they not? They are situational. It depends on every person. I can't say blanket, everybody, lottie-dottie, everybody is getting an X-ray. That, to me, that's unethical. It's not the right way to treat a patient. Not every patient needs it. And in fact, the vast majority of patients don't need to have any sort of imaging done when they come into my office for conservative care. So I hope that answers your question on whether or not imaging is required prior to getting chiropractic care. As long as your doctor is being very thorough, taking a really good history and a really good exam, and then starting with a conservative trial of care, as long as there's no red flags, imaging is in most cases not required. If you have any questions or want to discuss this more, feel free to call Dr. Lorie. I'm always available. You can email me, you can call me, you can, send a carrier pigeon if you want to. But make sure you subscribe to this podcast because we're going to be sending out a lot more. I'd like to hear feedback on this. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like having X-rays to prove what changes are being made with chiropractic care? Or can you forego the X-rays as long as your doctor is being very thorough? Let me know what you think. Talk to you later. Bye.
Hey guys, what a ride. I hope you enjoyed it. Now that you have been armed with that knowledge, I want you to go out and apply it. Know someone who could benefit from this info? Please share it with them. We'd love to hear from you. Call or text us at 636-678-4342. Or better yet, stop in and say hi the next time you're around our Fenton, Missouri office.